Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I thought that today would be a good day to talk about the truth about good students since school is starting in a lot of districts in the next few weeks and maybe in September. A lot of parents worry about this. If their children are not the good students that they're expected to be, they think that they, as parents, have somehow failed them. But we're really going to talk about what is underlying the issue of the good student. I'm not going to lie, it's the dream of most parents to have a child who is one of those good students that we hear of so often. I was one of those parents. I remember when my oldest daughter got straight A's in school. This was in the middle of our homeschool burnout phase. She got straight A's, and I was so proud of her that I carried that report card around with me in my pocket so that I could just pull it out and show it to the random person that my daughter got straight A's. But is it really all just about the grades? Or are there some underlying issues that being a good student can cause? Well, yeah, there are. And I know this firsthand, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. First of all, though, being a good student really does condition you to be compliant. It helps that you are constantly being told that you are the cream of the crop. You're given those pats on the back. You are just constantly reminded that you are in that top section. I don't know if they do sections anymore. When I was in school, there were sections. And if you were in that top section, you tended to look down on the students who were in the lower sections, even if they were only in one section lower than you. And a lot of the teachers actually encouraged this sort of behavior by doing the same thing. And when you are constantly told how good you are, that really does help most children, not all. It helps most children to want to just do whatever it is that the teacher tells them to do. And, most parents would say, do whatever the teacher tells you to do. And the thing is that if only it were that simple, because we have to look at what is the teacher telling the child to do, especially in this day and age. Am I right? So a lot of times the good students are afraid to go out of their comfort zones. They are so used to doing well at the things that they do that even if they try something new and they don't do well at it, they will immediately just give up because they don't want to do something that they don't do very well at. And so in that way, a lot of times the number of skills that the better students will have are actually very limited, very often to the academic levels, and a lot of the real life skills that other children will have, the better students will not have, just because they have decided to just stay within the box and stick to what they're good at. Because we're told that a lot as children, aren't we? Stick to what you're good at. And that's what these good students tend to do. And you know what? What they're good at is school. So what is school? As a parent, and as a student myself, when I was in school, you just think the school is about learning and teaching you to read and write. But we know in this day and age that that's not really what school is about. School is, about learning the official narrative. And those good students will very seldom question that official narrative because they were able to get good grades on tests, good grades on research papers about it. And since they are so good at learning the things that schools feed to them, they really don't take kindly to questioning things, which honestly is why a lot of the highly educated people nowadays have such an issue with questioning the narrative, because it is almost like questioning their intelligence, because this is what they learned. They spent years and years and years in higher education in air quotes, and they did well, they excelled. And so when people come up to them and tell them, well, that really not might be the way that it is, it offends them, because it is as if they are being attacked themselves, not just the narrative being attacked, but they themselves. And that can really start in school, depending on how much these children are propped up to just learn about, how great they are because they've got a good report card. I recently saw a video by a Christian academic who was just blatantly attacking those who think differently than he does about the shape of the earth. And instead of giving sound reasoning behind his position, it was just an all out attack on these people. And I truly believe that it was because he saw the the issue of people thinking differently than he does as it was questioning his intelligence. His own ego was being attacked, and he didn't like that very much. And unfortunately, that is something that does start in school. And a lot of teachers, they don't realize that that is what is happening as they are encouraging these children. But unfortunately, it really is a side effect. So then I got to thinking, as I was thinking about this, was compulsory schooling designed partly to weed out the quote divergence, those children who aren't good students, those children who don't fit well inside the box? Was it created as a way to, know which people to watch out for? Because we know, well, most of us know, especially if you're on my channel, you should know by now, that school was designed to create obedient factory workers, to create obedient citizens. They wanted a populace who would not question authority. And so, yes, school really did become a way to weed out those who are easily compliant, easily manipulated into doing whatever it is that they're told, and those who are able to think on their own. And just as with the good students, school has a really bad side effect on those who are, and I'm taking the term again, divergent from that series, because that really does, it fits the people who think differently. Because people who may not fit inside the school box, they are put down by those in the upper levels. And I think that this is by design, because it kills their confidence. If it kills their confidence, they're not going to speak up. They're not going to say what's on their mind. They're not going to rock the boat. It stigmatizes them so that when they do decide to speak up, nobody will listen to them. And does that sound familiar to you? Doesn't that sound like what's going on in this day and age when it comes to what we'll call the status quo versus, we'll say, conspiracy theories? Isn't that what it seems like is happening in the modern adult world? It almost seems like it's school all over again, and we've got the status quo stigmatizing those who question things. And yeah, largely it's because those who believe in the status quo feel like it's not only an attack on the narrative, it's an attack on them. So you might be wondering, how do I know all of this? Well, I was one of those good students. I was gifted AP, and I, for the most part, would do whatever I was told. And I liked getting those pats on the back. I liked looking down on those because, yes, I was in that top section, and I would look down on those. Not outwardly. I was always kind to people, but inwardly, I always did feel a little superior to those who were in those lower sections because I was one of the smart kids and they were not. But thankfully, the conditioning didn't stick with me like it seems to stick with a lot of other people. It might be because I was always kind of a bit of a nonconformist, even in those times. I was always a bit sassy and I had a little bit of an attitude, maybe. I remember when I was in 8th grade, my friends and I, we won History Day. Well, we won one of the categories for skits for History Day. So we got to go to a college. I don't remember. It might have been Penn State. It was either Penn State or Lehigh University. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But we got to go there and stay overnight, and we got to perform our skit again at that portion of History Day where you kind of went up a level. And I remember my friends and I walking around the outside of the campus with our boombox, because, this is like, was it like late 80s? Yeah, late 80s. And I remember blasting Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall as we're walking around this campus. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. And I was sending a message. And you know what? I think at the time that I was just simply feeling defiant. I was feeling a little bold. but I really was sending a message. And as I look back and I think to myself, how did I escape, just having this almost brainwashed countenance? And I think that it was just my innate personality, my God given personality, that helped me to escape that. So, as a parent, I just want to encourage you that if your children are not those in the box thinkers who do like really well on tests, that doesn't mean that you failed them. In fact, it can often mean that you have encouraged them so much to think on their own that they don't easily take in what other people are trying to feed to them. And I'm going to repeat it: what they're teaching in school nowadays is far worse what they were teaching when I was in school. So, really, getting good grades in school nowadays doesn't mean much at all. So, anyway, that was just a thought that I had, and I would love to hear what you think. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one either here or over on Instagram. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.